Welcome to Elevate English. Elevate your English. Elevate your life. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to the Elevate English channel. Let's start our story. The Music of Us. In a small, sleepy town nestled between rolling hills and wide, open fields, there was a little music store named the Harmony Shop. It wasn't much, just a small, cozy space on the corner of Main Street, tucked away between a bakery and an old bookstore. But inside, it was filled with the warm sound of instruments, from grand pianos to violins to guitars. The shelves were lined with sheet music, records, and old, handwritten songbooks. And in the back, there was a tiny stage where local musicians occasionally performed. Lucy Hartwell had worked there for as long as she could remember. It had started as a part-time job when she was still in high school, and somehow, as the years passed, she never left. Music had always been her escape. As a child, her mother had played the piano, and it was in those quiet moments, sitting at her mother's side, that Lucy had discovered the power of melody and rhythm. It was her sanctuary, her safe place, and the music store had become her second home. At 27, Lucy was content. She had her job, her small apartment above the shop, and the music that filled her days. She wasn't in a hurry for anything more. She had friends, but none that she felt particularly close to. There was a quietness in her life, a stillness that she had grown used to. She had long since stopped expecting anything out of the ordinary. That was until he walked in. It was late one afternoon, just as the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Lucy was cleaning the counter when the doorbell above the shop rang, signaling a customer. She looked up and found herself staring at a man she didn't recognize. He was tall, with dark hair that fell slightly over his eyes, and his clothes were simple, but there was an elegance to the way he carried himself. He had the kind of face that seemed familiar, like someone she had seen in passing but never really noticed. He smiled at her as he stepped inside. "Good evening," he said, his voice smooth and warm. "Hi," Lucy replied, her smile a little hesitant. "How can I help you?" "I'm looking for a violin," the man said. "A specific one, actually." Lucy raised an eyebrow. "A specific violin? We don't usually get requests like that. Can you tell me what you're looking for?" The man hesitated for a moment, as if considering how to answer. "I'm looking for a violin with character. One that tells a story when it's played." Lucy's curiosity piqued. She had heard customers say many things about instruments, but nothing quite like this. She walked over to a glass cabinet where some of the shop's more antique instruments were displayed. "Well, we have a few violins from different eras. Some have a bit of wear on them, but that just adds to the character, doesn't it?" The man followed her, his eyes scanning the instruments. He seemed absorbed in the search, but Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this than just picking out a violin. There was something in his expression, a sort of longing, a search for something. As she pulled out an old violin that had once belonged to a famous local musician, the man turned to her. "I've never been good with names," he said with a small laugh. "I'm Noah." "Lucy," she replied, offering a handshake. There was an odd moment of silence as they shook hands, an electric connection, something unspoken that seemed to hang between them. Noah took the violin gently in his hands, his fingers brushing the strings as though testing the sound. He closed his eyes for a moment, his brow furrowed in concentration. Then, slowly, he began to play. The music that flowed from the violin was soft at first, almost hesitant, but then it built in intensity, the notes becoming more urgent, more passionate. It wasn't a song Lucy recognized, but there was something so raw and beautiful about it that she couldn't take her eyes off of him. The world outside the shop seemed to fade away, and for those few minutes, the only thing that existed was the music. Noah stopped playing, his fingers still resting lightly on the strings. He opened his eyes, meeting Lucy's gaze. "It's been a long time since I've played," he said softly. "But there's something about this violin." Lucy felt a sudden rush of emotion, though she couldn't explain why. "It's beautiful," as she said, her voice a little hoarse. Noah smiled, a small, genuine smile that made his eyes sparkle. "Thank you. I'm glad you think so." There was something magnetic about him, something that drew Lucy in. She found herself wanting to know more about this man, about the music he played, about the life he led. But she didn't ask him anything. Instead, they stood in silence for a while, the only sound in the shop the soft hum of the strings. After a few moments, Noah spoke again. "I'll take it," he said, his voice calm. "But I'm not sure when I'll be back. I've been traveling a lot lately." Lucy nodded. "I understand. I'll make sure it's packed up for you." As Noah paid for the violin and left, Lucy felt a strange emptiness settle over her. It wasn't that she would miss him, exactly. She had only just met him. But there was something in the air between them, something unspoken that had left a mark on her heart. For the next few weeks, Lucy couldn't stop thinking about Noah. She had seen many customers come and go, but none had made such an impact on her. Every time she passed the spot where he had stood in the shop, she found herself wondering if he would come back. The days passed slowly, but Lucy carried on with her routine, cleaning the shop, helping the occasional customer, and spending her evenings surrounded by the soothing melodies of her piano. But there was a sense of longing that had started to creep into her life. She felt an odd emptiness whenever she thought of Noah, and she couldn't quite shake the feeling that something significant was missing. Then, one evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sky in shades of violet, the bell above the shop rang again. This time, when Lucy looked up, she saw Noah standing at the door. He smiled at her, his eyes a little brighter than before. "I couldn't stay away," he said, holding up the violin. Lucy smiled back, a warmth spreading through her chest. "I'm glad to see you." Noah stepped inside, and they talked for a while about the music he had been composing, the places he had been. As they spoke, Lucy realized something. Noah wasn't just a musician. He was a traveler, a soul searching for something that he couldn't quite put into words. And in a strange way, Lucy understood him. She, too, had spent her life searching for something beyond the music, beyond the shop. But in that moment, standing there with him, she felt that perhaps they were both on the same journey. The more time they spent together, the more their connection grew. It wasn't immediate, it wasn't dramatic. But there was an undeniable pull between them, a quiet understanding that began to take shape. It was in the way Noah looked at her when she spoke, the way he listened to her thoughts, even the way he played his violin when she was near. Slowly, they became a part of each other's worlds. Their conversations turned to deeper subjects about love, life, and the paths they had chosen. Lucy learned that Noah had been traveling for years, trying to find his place in the world, trying to understand what truly made him happy. He had been to distant cities, to foreign countries, and had lived a life filled with adventure and uncertainty. But all the while, he had carried his violin with him, playing in small towns and crowded cities, hoping to find the music that would bring him peace. Lucy, on the other hand, had always lived in Ireland. She had never left, and though she had been content in her quiet life, she often wondered what it would be like to leave. She had once dreamed of traveling, seeing the world, but somewhere along the way, Those dreams had faded, replaced by the stability of her life at the harmony shop. Still, she longed for something more, a deeper connection, a greater purpose. As the weeks turned into months, their bond deepened. They spent hours together, sometimes just talking, sometimes in comfortable silence. Noah would play his violin, and Lucy would sit at the piano, their melodies intertwining in a dance of harmony. It was like they had become part of the same song, and every time they were together, the music flowed between them, creating something beautiful. One day, as they sat on the porch of the shop, watching the sunset, Noah turned to her with a serious look in his eyes. "Lucy, I think I've found what I've been searching for," he said quietly. "I think it's been here all along." Lucy's heart raced as she looked at him. "What do you mean?" Noah smiled, a soft, genuine smile. "I think I've been searching for you." And in that moment, with the rain tapping gently against the windows and the soft music of his violin still echoing in the air, Lucy knew that, after all the years of searching, she had found something too. The end. I hope you enjoy this extended version. Let me know if you need any further modifications or additions.